In a fixed exchange rate regime, basically what we say is that the value of the currency is determined by the government. So the government decides an exchange rate, and then once it decides an exchange rate, it will try to fix it at that level, and it will try to maintain it at that level through various means, but it will make sure that the exchange rate doesn't change its value and remains at a particular point. So for example, if this is my demand and supply of the currency, and let's say currently right now exchange rate is fixed at E naught. Okay, so the government decides that the exchange rate will be, let's say, $2 is equal to £1. So you are in a fixed exchange rate regime. The government decides a value, and this will make sure that the value remains at this sort of point. Okay, so now let's take a scenario where the government has fixed this value at here, but what if demand goes up? If the demand goes up, the exchange rate will appreciate. It will no longer be at point A, it will be at point B. But the government has promised that they will keep the value at point A. So they need to do two things. Well, they need to do one thing, which is basically make the supply rise so that it results in the exchange rate to come back to point C. And how do you increase the supply of pounds? Basically, you will go to the market, because demand has gone up, you'll go to the market, you will start buying dollars. So if the UK government buys dollars, they will need to supply pounds. Supply of pounds will go up, but the UK foreign reserves will also go up. Why? Because you're buying dollars, so these dollars will come into your foreign reserves go up. And as a result, your exchange rate will fall back to E naught. Got it? So you bring the value back to E naught if the value goes above and it's not at E naught anymore. Okay? So that's one way of managing. Let's look at another scenario. What if demand is going down? What if exchange rate is fixed at E naught, and let's say now demand falls? For some reason demand falls, and now again, if it's a fixed exchange rate regime, you're not at point A anymore, now you're at point B. Now the government can again play with supply of pounds. So for example, they will go to the market and they start buying, they start selling dollars. When they sell dollars, they'll get pound in return. So the supply of pounds will fall, and we will come back to the value C. So what I'm saying is just that if the demand falls and the exchange rate falls, the government basically sells foreign currency, in this case sells foreign currency, which will result in supply of pounds to fall from the market, and the exchange rate would rise again. But in this case, your foreign reserves are going down. So one of the things that we know is that you require foreign reserves to be strong if you want to have a fixed exchange rate regime, because that would require buying and selling of dollars, buying and selling of foreign currency. Another way we can actually manipulate our fixed exchange rate regime is by what we call interest rates. So let me give you a scenario of interest rates. So we know this, that in this case, if the demand is going up, and our exchange rate has gone up, so what we can do is that we can lower the interest rate. When the interest rate goes down, we know this, that hot money will flows out, and that will make my exchange rate go down. Why? Because interest rate falls, hot money flows out, exchange rate will fall back to the level you want it to. Or similarly, in this case, for example, if the demand is falling and the exchange rate is falling, in this case you can bring the interest rate up. And when the interest rate goes up, then hot money flows in. And that will make the exchange rate to rise. Okay, so you can use another tool that we have as a government would have is basically using interest rate as a means to manage your fixed exchange rate. And that's why in a fixed exchange rate regime, normally we see that interest rates are geared towards managing the exchange rate versus managing other aspects of the economy.